All right, and we should be live again. Had to do some impromptu graphic creation there. But yeah, so the second matchup for the night, Boise Blackhawks versus Brooklyn Blue Devils. This is going to be Bo's team, who fell to Shaq in the kickoff game for the season against the team, what's MVP's Blue Devils, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Who have not played a game yet this season. This is their first game. And there was some drama, I think, surrounding MVP's GFA team earlier. Not sure how that will affect him mentally going into this game. I expect him to probably come out strong as usual, but will be interesting to see how that affects him. And we are just waiting on, I believe, one more person to join their team here. And then we are ready to go. So looking at these lineups, though, I think this is all the starting players for each team? Or all the, in terms of the order they were drafted?
Well, Shuda is Ices. Spades is obviously Spades. Cadarius is Cadarius. This looks like MVP is missing Jax, subbing in Spades, Jax being Kenny. And on the other side, looks like they have Barbecue Pringle back in there, so he will probably be playing running back, while Chicken Fat, Cam, and Gardner are the line. Cam and Gardner both being sub linemen in place of Grubb and Dank Lettuce. So all in all, a couple of subs here and there for both sides. Interesting that they would go with a line of Cam, Chicken Fat, Gardner. I don't think either of those three is primarily a center. However, there was a lot of talk about the last game and how there was obviously a lot of confusion among the line and a lot of problems from that position. So it'll be interesting to see who they put in there. I believe, if my sources are correct, they'll be putting Cam Newton's laptop there, making the transition from quarterback to line.
He's somebody I want to see more of at line. Obviously, he was my quarterback for a year, so I've gotten to see some of his line play. I can, vouch that it's good. I don't know how good. I haven't seen enough, but he knows what he's doing. Will be interesting to see how he does against, potentially the Vortex matchup he could have. As far as I remember, Chicken Fat also has not been the most active, and going into this, I'd say he's probably the top lineman for Bo's team here. But if he hasn't been playing very often, Vortex probably will be the difference maker here in the trenches. And I think we are. Oh, and we should be ready to start the game here. So apologies for the delay. There were some technical difficulties and I did not get a ready from one of the teams, but we'll find out the hard way if they weren't ready, I guess. And I did spend a lot of time talking about the lines. I should probably also, try to give my read on the receiving situation here in this game. Spades, another, long-time veteran player who doesn't play the game, as far as I know, nearly as often as he once did. And, was picked as a sub by MVP, so I'm not sure how much chemistry there is between those two. Could play a factor here. Ices always comes up big, I think, in draft tournaments. I think a lot of people sleep on him. He's been thrown a lot of shade, but when push comes to shove, he can be that guy.
Yeah, Icy's obviously a running back slash safety for title for a long time now. Known for his interesting play style. Usually when you think of a running back, you think of somebody who, plays the underneath on defense and somebody who, catches, the short stuff on defense, runs ins and outs. But Icy's, man, he's like a premier 50 bot, and he plays a lot of deep safety. Um, it'll be pretty interesting or telling to see how MVP uses him in the defensive scheme that Shinigami runs. As most people know, they run a bit of a zone, a hybrid zone. So one of the telling things for this game, for me at least, will be seeing how Icy's adjusts and fits into that scheme.
Big run there by MVP, 23 yards. Getting flashbacks to last game already with DJ, running for 20 yards every time he went up the middle. Not something I think MVP is really known for, though. Spades there, had that play gone on for another second before MVP threw it, might have gotten a touchdown. Icy's almost does it with almost 30 yards of yak there. And he is going to put Team Blue Devils inside the 5 here. First and goal. MVP making moves. Has quite a bit of distance between himself and the nearest D lineman. Still gets picked off by Gronk. Gronk was right in between that throw and the intended receiver. Huge defensive play to start off the game.
Yeah, and Gronk, I mean, that's a player that I think a lot of people sleep on. He's pretty versatile. He signed up as a flex. He got drafted pretty late. But, he plays a good safety. He plays a good corner. He flexes out receiver, running back. Huge play by him to start this game.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
Oh!
They had T-Craft, the center, nose tackle, lined up on Gronk that play.
And they immediately attacked the matchup, too.
Oh, and Blazin Bo wants that back. I mean, I don't want to speak too much on T-Craft's catching ability. I don't really know him like that, but man, you would think that, you wish you could have hit that throw.
It looked like Gronk might have been able to get to him, maybe just stopped a little bit early, thinking that he had to go for a body block.
And now T-Craft flexing from corner to tackle, gets the sack, and now he's back at his normal position of nose tackle. What is happening?
T-clamp. We got some T-clamps in chat. Blazin Bo gonna hit Pringle there for a 10-yard gain. 4th and 7 here. But T-Craft already, from all sides of the field, looking to put this ball back in MVP's hands.
Making a statement early.
Bo there just barely misses Pringle on the middle comeback. That throw looked catchable, I think, too.
It looked pretty catchable. I mean, Icy's had to dive to catch it. I don't even think Icy's was expecting to catch it. That might have just been a dive for a tackle. Wow, what a missed opportunity there for Blazin Bo, that's for sure. You really, when you're facing a quarterback like MVP, want to sort of get to an early lead, especially if you can force a turnover. And I bet he's kicking himself right now after the Gronk pass and that interception.
Yeah, big break there for the Blue Devils, though, after that red zone turnover. Probably going to look to build some big momentum off of that. But Chicken Fat is going to get in before anything can happen with that 16-yard sack there. And I'm not sure how the S-key nerf has affected MVP. I know, in the past, before that was a mechanic, he was a quarterback who liked to drop pretty far back and then work his way back towards the line of scrimmage and find receivers as the play broke down. Maybe not being able to drop back as much, affecting him early on in this game. That's his second pick already in the first quarter.
Yeah, and I think you spoke to it a little bit. He was a quarterback who was known for dropping back, rolling back, and extending the play a little bit that way. For the most part, he's been pretty good on this new update. You might think that it would have something to do with lack of chemistry. Maybe he's just not feeling comfortable right now. But this is definitely an uncharacteristic start for a quarterback of MVP's caliber.
Yeah, widely regarded as, I think, I'd imagine most people have him top 3. I know personally I do.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Bo there, looking for the crossbody throw. Dangerous throw, and,
Wow.
Kadarius there, taking full advantage of that throw.
That's a great play by Kadarius. He responded to the ball the moment it was thrown, and I don't know if he was trying to get spot necessarily, but he was able to get underneath and make a play on it. It looks like the receiver was a step too far back.
And there we see some of that MVP pocket movement. Overthrows his receiver, but there was a lot of room there for him to line up that throw before anybody could get to him. Has ices over the middle, and similar to what we saw between Bo and Pringle, just those short over the middle throws. Sometimes it's easier to psych yourself out on them and just miss.
Wow. Just pretty sloppy game so far, just all around, as another interception thrown by MVP here in the first quarter.
I believe that is Toxic's second pick of the game already, yeah. So, not even done with the first quarter. 5 turnovers in this game. Both of these quarterbacks definitely trying to get their bearings early on. Struggling to do so. We are going to see a chip here by Pringle. Open on the drag. Has Toxic over the middle. Hits him. 25-yard gain.
And this game right now, neither team feels like they have any momentum. A leak from Cam as he fakes the block on Vortex and picks up 20 yards.
Catches it with his chest, might I add, without jumping. That's an elite skill there. That play I think was crafted by Mouse on Kingsman. It's called the lineman rub, where you don't put up your shield, you act like you're blocking, and then you just leak out into the flat on almost like a wheel route from line. And Cam there, I'd imagine he taught that to Bo after being drafted by him, and the play got 20 yards there. And this drive, they're in the end zone, 2nd and 4.
Yeah, Bo living kind of dangerously. Oh, and there it is, an interception. I was
Maybe
just
not.
about to say that he had made 2 passes in a row while sliding backwards. That third pass not finding the mark as Spades plays the underneath and gets a huge return to hopefully give MVP some kind of spark, as this offense is just sputtering right now.
Gonna take that one up the wide side gap there. Fakes the weak side, goes wide side. And, if I'm either one of these quarterbacks right now, I think I just try to slow down the pace of the game. Play comfortable. Don't force anything. And he hits Kadarius on the crossbody drag there to get the first.
Feels like MVP has time in the pocket, and he's even making more time with his pocket movement. But it might just be the accuracy, the trust in the receivers. Something is off as he throws another pick to Toxic.
So, 7 picks so far in this game. We are not out of the first quarter. 7 picks.
This is some pub gameplay.
Did we background check these quarterbacks before we picked them for the league? This is getting ugly early on.
As Bo taking a big sack here, it might be up to the defenses to put the first points on the board.
It's safety territory with how this game has gone so far. T-Graf puts him even closer. 7-yard sack. They were on their own too.
A great move by T-Graf. Faked outside, went inside, got the curve dive. I don't think Bo was expecting it. And Gardner is sweating bullets right now.
Yeah. And they get the chip there. Give Bo some time. Toxic, huge catch there. Ices was playing him shoulder to shoulder. Doesn't manage to get the first though, so 4th and 2 here. Still much more comfortable than in the end zone though, I'd imagine for Bo. They sent Chicken Fat on the leak, and it's covered. He throws it anyway. Chicken Fat gets over top. Ices with a huge body block there. That ball was going to get caught by Chicken Fat, I think, if Ices doesn't dive for that body block.
And they're just playing tug of war right now. Each defense just advancing the ball for the offense. The offenses can't move. They just start wherever the defenses let them. And, I mean, you'd have to think that even if... Oh, wait.
Oh my god!
This is one of the most oddly entertaining low-scoring games that I've ever seen. Huge post to Icy who just
Where did that
dives
come
on
from?
the indicator.
Oh my goodness, he was like on the ground for so long it looks like, but the ball just hit him. Huge way for MVP to come back into this game. I was not expecting that after how the first quarter of this game went. Oh my goodness. So the first points of the game going to the Blue Devils.
And what do you even do if you're Bo right now? Your team gave you the ball back 4 times. And you haven't, I don't think, made it past the 50 with your offense.
MVP started with the ball, I believe. So for Bo, you got to think, okay, I got to just match. I just got to put the ball in the end zone, keep the game flow, normal. And he has blocks going down the field here. He might match the score of this play. Just barely gets stopped. He started that play from the 20, or the 30, his own side of the field. And he is in the red zone. What is this game so far?
And on his second run, slides into MVP getting 5. I mean, do you even throw it at this point? Like, do you chance it? Or is it too early in the game to really feel as though throwing in the red zone's not an option?
Now, Bo is a quarterback who, when given the chance, will run you into oblivion. I'd say probably not the same, running ability as someone like DJ who, transitioned from receiver to quarterback. But Bo gonna make moves in the pocket. Pringle, with enough time to just evade any coverage. He was wide open there. And Bo coming back in a huge way there.
Yeah, no idea what happened with the easy zones there. Just looked like Barbecue made it to the goalpost. He's probably yelling over comms, "Hey, I'm open."
So gonna go for 2 here to see if they could tie it up. A stop here is massive because now MVP is in the lead and can turn this into a 2-possession game.
Okay, it looks like this game is returning to like a level of normalcy. I don't know if the quarterbacks were, a bit shaken up to start or just hadn't warmed up, but this is looking a little bit more like the norm on both sides.
Returns it all the way to the 43 there by Ices. And Ices now lining up at receiver. And they're going to immediately target that matchup as well on the outside, trying to hit Ices on the comeback. Gronk maybe playing a bit over top on Ices, who's, known for his 50ing ability. But just overthrows him a little bit. Camp trying to rush through the inside. Spades open in the flat. And they're going to get the first.
That was almost disastrous, too, because it looked like Ices had gotten open on that post route as Pringle and Gronk both went to cover the comeback. Or the out route.
The D-line there might have actually forced MVP's hand into just throwing the first thing that he saw. And he's going to hit Spades there in the inside comeback. Interesting that Spades is, potentially getting more production now lining up at running back. Unless he's been lined up at running back this whole game and I just didn't notice. But
It's tough to say for sure. One of the things that is kind of curious about how they have things lined up is they have Pringle playing safety, which I don't think he's normally a safety. I think he normally plays corner.
yeah,
And they have Gronk lined up at corner, and he's, known for his play at running back and for playing safety. So maybe they're playing a matchup of some kind or something
Icy's
or another.
Cooks Pringle on the post corner post corner post. MVP immediately sees it. Quick score again there from MVP.
And that route has gotten open a couple plays earlier. MVP probably saw it or heard it from his team, called the same concept again, and I mean, it gets open again. They're really going to have to adjust because you can't just be giving up touchdowns like that. Like, that is free. Most quarterbacks will hit that throw. MVP, now that he's a bit more locked in, definitely is going to hit that throw.
That was a really good route there by Icy's as well. I mean, Pringle just had no clue where Icy's was going there. That ball probably could have taken another 2 seconds to get there, and Icy still would have gotten the ball down before getting tackled. Great play there by the Blue Devils.
And now Blazin Bo down 10 here. So maybe not necessarily feeling the pressure to score, but feeling as though they need to do something here before the half, as T-Craft getting in again. I think that's his third sack of the game. Definitely having a good game for himself so far.
Actually, the Blue Devils as a whole, 5 sacks already. A couple of those I think have been run stops, but Toxic gonna just barely miss the first by a yard there, 16-yard gain. I'm not sure how to feel about these new. I don't know what to even call them. I guess
play art?
Built-in. No, not the play art. It's when you can press a button and give I guess a voice line almost, but it's not a voice line.
Oh, the celebrations? Oh no, the pings.
Yes, the pings.
Definitely useful for pub play. I don't think they really get used too much outside of that, but there's an option to turn them off. I don't really notice them too much.
Alto.
Oh, big sack by Alto.
And I mean, that play is going to just put MVP where he's been hot these past couple drives. Fakes the run, might have had it anyway if he had just taken it. And that hesitation is going to cost him 2-yard sack there by Gardner, stopping the second attempt at a run.
And the Blackhawks desperately need a stop here. They risk the game getting away from them if they give up another touchdown here in the red zone.
Yeah, MVP is a quarterback who, if he gets a 2 or 3 score lead, he's not the type of person to play it slow. He is going to go pedal to the middle and just try to, take you out of the game completely as quick as he can. So definitely not somebody you want to go down too early. They're going to set Vortex on the wide side leak, but it's not going to work out. Chicken Fat without somebody there to block him is just going to eat. Huge sack there for him. 4th and goal now for the Blue Devils.
You would think that they might be interested in. I suppose kicking here doesn't really do too much for you. And
Toxic.
Wow.
Big play there. Right on the goal line too. So Bo's gonna get it on the 20. 4th pick of the night already. We aren't even done with the first half.
By Toxic?
Yeah.
Toxic had 3 picks in the last game, definitely proving himself to be a ball hawk early in the season.
Early defensive player of the season, perhaps. Definitely more picks than anyone so far. I think. I'm not sure how the games last night went, but when I tuned in, I didn't see a huge pick number or anything. So 4 picks already is
Pretty sure in the first game of the season, Craig had 5 picks for.
Oh yes. You're right.
So those two battling it out for the interception lead early in the season here. 25 seconds left in the half. Bo desperately needs to make something happen. Toxic has leverage.
And
And
he
he
just
just
barely
overthrew him.
overthrows him. That was a
Oh,
yard over.
oh no.
Bo is kicking himself for that one. And if you're Bo, you cannot let that get to you. You need to convert here. Has Gronk over the top. Hits Toxic. Tries to hit Toxic.
No.
And overthrows him yet again. Gronk did not seem happy there with the
11
outcome of that
seconds, but
play.
MVP definitely has the time to score here, even without any timeouts.
That is catastrophic for the
That is the
Blackhawks.
worst case scenario, yeah.
And Bo gonna miss a tackle. Spades here could put this in the end zone. Just misses his dive.
Spades dives 1 yard short, and it's half. Unreal. As the Blackhawks get lucky, and Spades not getting tackled, not making it to the end zone, they narrowly escape disaster.
That was such a high risk thing there, not tackling Spades early. If that was intentional, may not have been intentional to let him keep moving down the field. They definitely could not have accounted for Spades just missing the dive in the end zone. Could have ended the game right there. You know, with MVP being up 3 scores there, it's hard for anybody to come back. But now Bo, looking down a 10-point deficit, starts the half with the ball. And this is doable for him.
Oh, definitely. They need to maybe start relying on the run a little bit more. The running has definitely been successful to this point. Every time they've tried to throw the ball, it's been more of that. It just feels as though that line, again, playing very aggressively, willing to give up that run, if only just to sort of disrupt Bo, get him off his timing when he's passing.
Yeah, Bo maybe just down that 2-possession deficit, maybe thinking pass first. And he does hit Gronk there for a big 35-yard gain. But I don't think you could go too pass heavy with how the D-line is playing against him right now. You know, you got to kind of just look at the clock and realize that there's still a lot of game left and take just whatever the game is giving you.
Yeah. Looks like he has Pringle, but Pringle does not have over top there. That is an easy interception by Ices.
Yeah, not sure if maybe Bo thought Pringle was over top of Ices or just tried to throw that under. Either way, puts it right where Ices can rip that right out of Pringle's hands. And now this is looking scary for Bo.
Man, it just really boils down to the fact that you are being given chances by your defense over and over and not capitalizing on them. Oh,
Pringle gonna
Ices
just bring that back and say, oh, try again, Bo. Right on Icy's head.
just riding this wave of catastrophe, just constantly on the precipice of being able to get back in this game, but they need a drive so badly. Even 3 points makes this a 1-score game.
12-yard gain there. All 12 yards, yak, for Pringle. You know, line leaks against MVP usually don't work out too well because you see a lot of plays he does what we see now. You know, he likes to start to play a few yards further back than most free safeties, making that leak much easier to react to. But if you're Bo, I think you just gotta start trying things if your normal play calling just isn't putting points on the board. Does take the weak side run there. 2-yard gain, but he does get the first.
And these are the moments where you have to have, the sort of veterans on your team, like Cam, who has quarterback experience, like Toxic, who's been around for a long time, just tell you, like, all right, man, just take it nice and slow. We just need to get 10, 15 more yards here to get, in field goal range. And then after it's a one-score game, anything can happen. I think a mistake that might lead to things getting worse before they get better is if they try to do too much too fast and if they try to get it all back at once. I mean, it's still a two-score game. You have to score twice no matter what. You might as well play very safe, conservative gridiron to ensure the fact that you at least have a chance as the game, as time winds down.
Yeah, and I think we just saw some of that there. The little 5-yard drag route from Chicken Fat from the line. And, he makes a play out of it. He turns it into a 15-yard gain. I think he just has to put the ball in his players' hands and put them in situations where they can make plays. I don't think he really needs to do too much by himself right now.
Yeah, second and goal here at the 6. I think that you probably will see at least one more run. If it gets to a point where they need to throw the ball, you'll probably see sort of a conservative throw as Bo getting to the 1. Um, God, this is such a tough spot for a defense. You basically are guaranteeing a touchdown here if you give them 2 tries at it.
And Bo does like to just run it up the middle on those 1-and-goal plays. I know that after playing with him and against him quite a bit, and it is incredibly hard to stop. And he, punches it in right there on that play. So
They go for 2 here. It's a 4-point game. An extra point would have made it a field goal difference. I don't know if he had a play for this or if he was really confident, but that could come back to bite him as he gets sacked, and it's still now a touchdown game.
yeah, a lot of time there, but the coverage held strong. Not sure what he was looking to do before calling the 2-point conversion there. And Bo's kick returners there gonna miss. Very uncharacteristic of those two.
Put a lot of oddities in this
one real quick.
A lot of strange happenings, for sure.
And so with 1:47 left in the third, MVP gonna look to extend his lead back to 2 possessions. Air delivery there for Cad.
I mean, that's just a crazy throw. He gets the arc on it, letting Cad line himself up with it. He gives him full leverage. One of those my guy, no guy throws where Cad has to go full extension on the dive at the right angle to get it. And, I mean, that's just a pretty play.
Another well-placed ball there to Ices. Any lower and that's picked off. Any higher and that's just out of bounds. Just hit his receiver right on the head. Max jump height.
You got to get the feeling that the tide is turning somewhat. Bo just scored a touchdown, which, would indicate that they're back in this game. But MVP looking like starting this drive coming out like crazy, throwing, 2 back-to-back pretty great balls. If MVP starts heating up here, this could become a very difficult hole to climb out of, even though it's just a 1-score game right now.
Yeah. Maybe has Cad in the corner, sees it, throws the ball up, and Cad is going to come down with it. Great play there by the Blue Devils. MVP with some near perfect placement. Kadarius stopping right at the end there to come down with it. And that was just one of those extended plays. That's vintage MVP. And he's once again going to find him for the 2-point conversion. So 12-point lead now. And, we are back to that 2-possession deficit for Bo. And, maybe going for 1 there was the better solution. But, I don't think it would make too big of a difference if MVP is just going to put it in the end zone again.
Right, it doesn't end up mattering too much now. With the game clock winding down, about a minute left in the third, you start to get that feeling you're running out of time. As T-Craft and Alto, both with a double spin cycle, both of them getting through. That play was blown up from the beginning.
So the road to the comeback for Bo is, it just looks so close. But at the same time, it's just every time it looks like they catch a break, it's just something goes wrong right at the end. And so from, the 10-point deficit cutting down to 2, back up to 12, it's mentally that's going to be hard for them to deal with, I think. Because right when the momentum looked like it was shifting back into their favor, MVP just has such a fast drive and puts points on the board. So 4th and 2 now, and that can play a factor here in how this play ends. Bo dropped back as far as he can, and he just could not move quick enough to get out of the way.
That is a dagger sack. Giving the ball back to MVP here in a 2-score game, 10 yards to go to, basically almost put this game away. The absolute last thing that Bo should have done there is take a sack. I mean, that's just MVP showing off. He had the easy run for a touchdown. Instead opting to hit Ices there at the front of the end zone, making this a now 3-score game.
And if you're Bo now, you are probably worried. Because when games look like this against MVP, they tend to get out of hand pretty quickly.
Hand off to Kadarius, who finds space. And now you can tell that MVP rather is just out there having fun. Which, suffice it to say, is a bad sign for these Blackhawks, as they're down 20 points with just the 4th quarter left to play.
Yeah, and this is probably a similar situation to what we saw last game from the Blackhawks when, they came out, they kept it close in the first half, actually had a lead against Shaq's team, and then just kind of stalled out in the second half. T-Craft, they're going to just keep the pressure on Bo, 8-yard sack.
Yeah, and they don't want this to become the defining, narrative of their season. Both times they've faced these elite quarterbacks and, held them to very pedestrian numbers to start out. Toxic playing a huge role in that both times that they played, of course, versus Shaq and wait a minute now.
And Ices is going to close that ground. And that's that free safety browse that we were talking about from earlier, where Ices just kind of, hangs back a bit, and he has a lot more options on how he can play against, most route concepts. And people who look like they're wide open, like Ices did there, like Toxic did there for a moment. Ices just kind of appears, and he picks that off. And now we are definitely in that danger territory for Bo.
I think we're past that danger territory. I think that we're fully in blowout danger here, as the game is more or less decided here going into the 4th. But MVP never really known for his, for having mercy on these teams that he thinks he kind of overmatches. He's going to keep trying to pour it on.
Very nearly picked off, but also almost in stride for Spades there. Would have been one of the most impressive throws of the night had that connected. But we do have 4th and 18 here now. You're going to see a chip. Has his receivers over the middle. Hits Kadarius in stride. Over, I believe, Gronk's head.
Yeah, they looked a little bit awkward. It looked like there was a huge blob over top of Kadarius, but there was no one there actually underneath to catch the ball. He just went in there, scooped it up, picked up an easy first down.
So MVP here probably looking at Icy's downfield. And he does send up the ball for him. And Toxic going to come down with another pick to, at least try to put his team back in this game.
And you've got to wonder both in this game and in the Shat game, where would this team be without Toxic
Oh,
on
and
defense?
Toxic is open on the corner route. And he does hit him this time. Toxic in stride, moving the ball down the field. Gets all the way to the 20. Toxic putting his team on his back right now, trying to get them back into this game.
Man. And that's what a lot of people expected when they saw Toxic go to Bo. Earlier in the draft, he is obviously the number one guy on IP. They have a lot of chemistry. What I don't think people expected was for him to put on the absolute defensive clinic that he's been putting on these past couple games. Just a turnover machine over there at corner.
Yeah, and as we see that rushing touchdown there from Bo to bring this game a little bit closer, I think a lot of people forget that Toxic is one of the more solid players who, when given time to get more used to playing, because he does take frequent breaks from the game. But when he's active, he's very consistent. He's not someone who you're going to see in coverage who, randomly gets burnt. If he has a matchup that's, relatively even, it's going to look relatively even the whole game. And right now he's showing off that consistency, managing to take his defense into the second half of this game, even though it looks like it might already be over.
Yeah. Toxic, been around the community for a long time, has been on a lot of top teams, and one of the things about some of these players is when you look at them and you see that they go from one top team to the other. In Toxic's case, going from Lone Rangers back when they were, the best team to Title when they were sort of coming into their own as one of the top teams in the GFA, and to now IP, who is a good team, obviously, as well. You wonder to yourself, is this guy all that? Well, Toxic is proving that, yes, he is that guy, even though he doesn't really have that name brand recognition of some of these other top receivers.
Yeah, if you just look at a lot of the top teams, he's been a part of a good chunk of them. And, he was, as you said, titles come up, he was there for. IPs come up, he's there for it. So even if he's not making the biggest impact himself, which he is this game, just his mentality, I think, and his playmaking is always going to help those teams. And MVP there just, does not care about Toxic being downfield there, having a monster game. He hits Kadarius anyway.
Yeah, and not enough can really be said about MVP's sort of game that he had. For a lot of quarterbacks, it's easy to, start off kind of cold and get down on yourself, bring the team down, not necessarily be all there and all involved. But with MVP, he got down, he kind of started heating up, and you saw as the team took off with him. A lot of resolve from MVP, who a lot of people know to be a pretty like a character, a big personality, that's for sure. To lead this team
Oh,
of players that he's not super familiar with, as that's an errant or odd throw that just falls incomplete.
definitely an interceptable throw after something happened with the receivers there, maybe some type of miscommunication. But I mean, the coverage at this point is just expecting, nearly complete accuracy from MVP. As we see throws like that hitting spades in between DBs. And that is the dagger. There is no coming back from that now for Bo.
One of the interesting things about MVP's play in this game, and in a lot of the games that it seems as though he's been playing as of recent, is that he seems pretty comfortable dropping back. I know a lot of people were wondering how he would adjust to the S key nerf, seeing as he was one of the quarterbacks who, as I said before, liked to roll back. But it looks as though he's rolling a comfortable amount, sort of being very good with his spacing. And when he does get into that yellow, into that red, it looks as though he's still pretty elusive, doesn't really get panicked. A lot of these quarterbacks, you see them in yellow and red, they get panicked, they don't know what to do, they start sort of watching the line instead of watching the receivers. But MVP has made a lot of throws 15, 20, 25 yards back in the pocket with ease.
So Bo here with this drive gonna look to make this game a little bit closer on the final score. Does hit Gronk there for 42 yards, but I don't think there's enough time for that to matter. Uh, you know, I think there's moments for this game for Bo where you can look and say, oh, if I just play like that the whole game, we stay in it. But unfortunately, I think this was another shaky game for Bo. I think he's still probably not used to playing with some of these players. Uh, Definitely likes to have his guys, I think. For him, chemistry matters more than anything. When he won the draft tournament that he beat Miskey in the finals, um, he had a lot of his guys from IP with just a couple changes just because of who was on the draft board and everything. Um, I think it's going to take him a little bit longer to get used to playing with Pringle and Gronk and Chicken Fat, but I think once he does, he's going to be a dangerous quarterback to play against. But I just think tonight wasn't his night.
Yeah, and it's been unfortunate the sort of starts he's had to the NGL season both times playing these quarterbacks. Pretty close in the first half. A lot of it, obviously, the result of the defense stepping up, but not being able to capitalize early in the games. I think he maybe has to go back into his maybe play calling, maybe go back and watch some film and see what it is exactly that's going on early in these games where he doesn't feel comfortable. Maybe start seeing what these other teams are doing to him defensively, and I don't know, just start playing a bit more passive early in the game. Maybe start out with a set of plays that he's comfortable running with these receivers he's not really comfortable with. But one of the things about, draft leagues and draft tournaments is because all the teams are even, any matchup mismatch on the field is going to hurt you. And any particular player who's not playing great is going to show up even more than usual. So if your quarterback or your line or your offense in general is just not firing, and you get these opportunities and you just squander them, there's not going to be that many chances to just get back in the game like MVP did here due to like talent difference. It's more or less even.
Mhm. An MVP here. Well placed ball there to Kadarius. Less than 30 seconds left in this game. Just looking to run up the score just a little bit more. Uh, so I will start to take a look at some of the stats here. And there will be some, obviously, a little bit of inflated stats as after we come out of this drive. Like, 41 yards there to ICs, but
A perfect sideline dot.
MVP now, almost 500 passing yards after that, rough first quarter.
Yeah, and we did not think we'd be seeing that after the first half. I mean, he threw, what was it, 4 interceptions in the first quarter? And to then come back and just start dissecting this defense. Oh, it looks like that was catchable.
That was in the corner, I think. That was Cad not trusting the throw.
That is tough.
And yeah, so last play of the game, and we will see the score get as out of hand as it can get.
Wow. Just a disappointing game, probably, in Bo's mind, as it was so close at the beginning. You felt that there were so many chances to win it, but the tail of the stats and the tail of the tape will sort of differ on their account of this game, as people will look at the score and think it was completely lopsided, but
It was a game of two teams that came out, subpar by their standards, and one recovered really well, and the other one just struggled to find their footing as quickly. So as we take a look here, let me turn off the scoreboard. Final score 44-19. You know, MVP of the game probably has to go to either ICs with his 4 picks or MVP maybe. you know, he did throw 7 picks, but he did also, rally that comeback. Um,
Yeah, I
Alto
don't think.
also with 7 sacks,
Yeah, Alto
which
was flying off that edge. He was looking really, really, really good out there, getting consistent pressure. Obviously, sack numbers, don't tell the whole tale, but he was looking like he was collapsing that pocket, not really giving Bo much of a chance to step up and to make those throws comfortably.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't think you could go wrong with either MVP or ICs or Alto when it comes to this MVP. I would personally, I think, just give it to MVP based on the weight that comes with sort of being the leader of a team and knowing that you're not doing well and then coming back in the second half and just lighting it up. Like I said, that is truly one of the things that separates quarterbacks from all the other positions. Is all the other positions, you start having a bad game, you start getting cooked, like your team could try and hide you. You could just kind of clam up and not say anything and try to hide your frustration. Can't really do that at quarterback. At quarterback, you have to, you throw a pick, has to be a short memory. You have to be like, all right, I'm back at it. And so for him to come back strong, lead his team to a big dub here, he's my pick for MVP.
Hmm. And as we look at the Blackhawks, who unfortunately could not make much of a comeback, uh, Chicken Fat, I expected, I think, a little bit more in terms of sacks from him. It looked like he had a lot of opportunities where he just came just so close and just barely missed, which we do see happen a lot of times against, MVP, who does drop back a bit, even with the S key, which I think a lot of D linemen don't expect as much now. But, obviously the performance of the night on their side was definitely toxic. 5 picks. That very well could have won them the game had some more things gone their way. But, you know, Gronk also with 84 yards receiving, as we said before the game, a lot of people sleep on him, but he's solid, I think. So definitely
Yeah,
great game there.
yeah. I think that Boise's gonna have to sort of take a look at the roster they put out today, the roster they put out versus Shaq. Maybe talk over a couple things, maybe look back at some footage and see what it is that's leading to these almost collapses, it feels like, or just offensive spurts where they just can't seem to do anything. Maybe get together and work on that a little bit, as it looks like their defense has played a little bit better than numbers would expect or would show. They've given up a lot of garbage time points once they get down a fair amount. But at the end of the day, if you spend a whole quarter or 2 quarters of just getting the ball back and not being able to do anything with it, you're going to lose a lot of games. So I'm hoping that they are able to bounce back. Meanwhile, Brooklyn, big win by them. Definitely something that'll lift morale as they were able to overcome a tough start and show, their resilience in winning versus this very solid Boise team. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep the momentum going as they play the rest of their games this week.
And yeah, so I don't really have much to add to that. My throat is pretty dry. I ran out of water in between these 2 games, so if that's all from you, do you have anything else, I guess, to add to that, or
Oh,
no?
oh,
All
definitely.
right.
Just chilling.
So that'll be all from us for tonight. The next game, I'm actually not sure when the next game is. Um,
I believe there's a game tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken, the next game will be the Seattle Seamen Creamies team versus Shaq's Philadelphia Cheesecakes. Oh no, that's on Friday, excuse me. So we don't have a game lined up for tomorrow, but we do have a game lined up for Friday, and we'll obviously keep everyone updated via the events sort of in Discord as to when games get scheduled. So
all right, and with that, I will call it a night. So from me and Vasquez, good night, everybody, and I hope to see you tomorrow.